I'm going to start with a question for everybody. In the film, Steve Rogers keeps a checklist of all the great pop culture stuff he's missed out on in the last 50 years. So if you had to recommend anything for Steve, what would it be and why? And let's start with you, Anthony, work our way down to the other Anthony.
Oh, man, why you start with the
Yeah, I think...
I would say Stevie...
Yeah.
What?
Okay.
No,
that's
oh,
fine.
that
We
one.
got Anthony confusion.
That guy. Too many
Always about you.
Go ahead. No, he said over there. I didn't
Always
even see
about you.
Go ahead, please. Tony,
After you.
continue.
I think I would recommend that he check out Captain America: The Winter Soldier.
That's all you need to know.
Yeah, it tickles the absurdist in me, and I want to know: did we get it right? Does it feel representative of your experience?
For him, it would be a documentary, I guess. And Joe?
4 words, 50 Shades of Grey. I think he needs more mommy porn in his life.
The whole trilogy or just the first one?
Just the first one. It's just the first one.
I would stick with music. I'd probably do Beatles, Led Zeppelin.
Okay, interesting. Scarlett?
Cake pops. Because how do they make those things anyway? They're just so delicious.
And Samuel?
Red Tube.
Red Tube. We might have just lost Captain America to that one. And Sebastian?
Red Tube.
The Godfather, for sure. I mean, right? The Godfather, and maybe Cronuts. I don't know.
Any Eddie Murphy movie before The Golden Child.
I love The Golden Child.
Anything before that. After that is like...
Okay.
Is that including The Golden Child? You want to include that in?
No, The Golden Child
Yeah.
is included.
Okay,
yes.
okay. Good.
I want the knife. Come on, man.
So The Golden Child, Cronuts, and Cake Pops were fattening Captain America up. Okay, let's take some questions. There's a gentleman over here, and then we'll try and get everyone in due course.
I really enjoyed the film. I wanted to ask a question. Basically, you guys have had such great and diverse careers. If you could take any one of the characters that you've played and put them in the Marvel Universe, which would you pick and why?
Don't look at me.
If I could take any character I played and put it in the Marvel Universe?
Yeah.
Does it have to
That's
fit
what he
into the
said.
Marvel
That's what he
Universe?
He
said.
didn't say it had to fit. He just said, who would you
Just
put in it?
put it in there. Oh, my movies are terrible. I don't want to do this.
Anyone else want to take the fifth on that one?
Someone who has better
I
characters.
put Mitch Hennessy from The Long Kiss Goodnight in the Marvel Universe just because he's just so childlike and would be in awe of everybody in there, but he would claim he had a superpower.
Scarlett, should we go to you next on this one? Any character from your past that you put in a Marvel Universe movie?
Well, if I could do the voice from her, it would avoid the early morning gym hour, so I'm going to choose that one.
Usurping Jarvis, maybe. Sebastian, and
Yeah, well, looking at my brilliant filmography outside of the Captain America movies, I'm just not even going to speak right now. Pour myself a glass of water.
And Mr. Mackie.
I would say Nate Ruffin from
Booty from the Man.
Booty from the Man. Stellar work on the part of Anthony Mackie. Once again, making Sam Jackson look good. I would say Nate Ruffin from We Are Marshall, because he was such a cool, hip cat.
Fantastic. Thank you. Yes, please. There's a gentleman here in the front row as well. If we can just get the microphone. In fact, we're going to stay in the front row for the next couple of questions and move back.
Congratulations.
Oh shit. Yep, you're in. It's a microphone.
Kill the geek with the Captain America t-shirt. Got awesome film, guys. I think you guys were fantastic from the heart. I think amazing. And it's so weird because I love all your work individually. Genuinely not being a sucker with that. In terms of the question.
Yes.
Yeah, get to the point. Captain America is obviously a symbolic character. He's a really, I think Erskine in the first film says he's a good man. We want to say he's a good man. I was actually genuinely touched, as corny as that sounds. I think the whole Steve's journey, both in the first film and this film. But obviously the world is a lot grittier now, and the characters and all the espionage and stuff like that. How did you maintain the essence of what Erskine said to Captain America as a good man in this world that's a bit darker, characters that are obviously a bit shady? How did you, without being corny, how did you keep that at the core, and also the other actors around it? How were you able to kind of like bounce off that and were you inspired a bit by the character as well?
Well, I mean,
Short question.
He just is a good man. I mean, it's about, you know, developing a character, and hopefully if you develop, I don't think the part of him that is a good man is necessarily dependent upon his environment. He's a good man essentially in a vacuum. He's just a good person. He doesn't bleed on people. He has morals and values, and hopefully if you put him anywhere, whether it's in the 40s or modern era, or whether it's a, you know, a period film or a grittier political thriller, hopefully the qualities of who he is will still shine through. In terms of not making it corny, I think that's more of a director question.
Well, I would say, I mean, look, I think it's also, I mean, look, at not making him corny, yeah, you cast Chris Evans, right? So I mean, Chris has this great, you know, he's able to balance the character in a way that's always, Joe and I have always been amazed by. It's really, he strikes the balance between sort of somebody who's like self-confident and focused, and he puts the emphasis on that, I think, rather than on righteousness, you know, which is important. But for us, I mean, look, we always like the more complicated version of the character. The sort of simple version of the character was never that appealing to us. So, you know, we tried to put him in a very complex situation and play to the complexities. I mean, he starts the movie off in a very vulnerable place. This is the first movie where we really catch up to him in modern day and see what it means to him on a character level to have missed 70 years and woken up and found that nobody from his old life is around anymore. It's a very isolated place, a very emotionally vulnerable place. So his relationships to the other characters in the movie are even more important because he has nobody. So I think that's basically how we kept him grounded, how we approach the character.
Obviously, one of the key components of the Black Widow character is this enigmatic past, which is still affecting and defining her. But it seems at the end of this movie, at least, she's perhaps a little more receptive to maybe people knowing a bit more what that entails. So would you, as an actress, be interested in going there and exploring that and realising it on film? Or do you think perhaps some things are better left undefined and it could perhaps rob the character of some of her intrigue and mystery?
Well, you'll get more of Widow's backstory in Avengers 2 also.
Really?
Yeah, you would.
Scoop.
And I think her backstory is, I mean, she has a rich past, as you already described. She definitely comes from a really dark past. You know, I think she's kind of had to be she's had to sort of desensitize or dehumanize in a way to be able to do and see some of the things that she's, seen and participated in willingly. And I think probably most people that have that kind of job description, a mercenary, they do. But I think she's just sort of now grappling with the fact that she may be experiencing some trauma from that, or at least that she has feelings about the things that maybe she doesn't sleep so well at night, and it's just sort of hitting her now that she's kind of been, acting as a sort of, gun for hire, and, that in doing that, she's never really made any active choices, and that kind of, it's sort of like the rug has been kind of pulled from under her feet. So I think more interestingly would probably be to discover her, to follow the progression of that story, and bring her back home or see where that kind of leads to. But of course, that's all in my imaginary next installment. None of that's really been, we've thrown the ball around a little bit, but nothing is in the works right now for that.
In this film, your character has slightly more dramatic meat than it's had perhaps in the other Marvel films. They've perhaps been a little bit more to do with like the humour that you bring, whereas this one there's a more serious tone to your performance. I wondered how that affected your experience when acting in this film particularly compared to the others.
I approach all of it, the same way. You show up, you look at the relationships, what's going on, take it all seriously, and still have as much fun as you can on the inside of it. I'm really glad that we saw more of Nick and what happens with him. and how he reacts to situations. But as usual, he's always trying to be 3 steps ahead, and all of a sudden when he finds out, he's been used in another kind of way, it's incumbent upon him to find out why, and use all the tools that he has at his disposal to make that happen. And as usual, part of it has to do with subterfuge and diversion, even down to fooling and hurting his most trusted compatriot. And we actually shot a scene where that's explained, or we have that moment, but I've been told it slows the film down in a significant way, and they didn't want it slowed down. But when you get the DVD and you click on my face, there's a hidden feature that will allow you to access that scene, and you'll see more of what that means between he and Black Widow. But it was a real joy to be able to go into Nick's workplace and to find out who he is in depth in certain ways, and to expose some of the stuff through the conversations that Robert Redford and I had in the film.
Anthony and Joe, is this true? Is there a lot of stuff on the cutting room floor? Can we expect a lot of extra scenes on the DVD and Blu-ray?
We actually were fortunate to have a lot of time to work on the script and prep the movie prior to execution. So I think there's about 6 or 7 minutes of deleted scenes.
Okay.
But not a particularly large amount.
It used to be that films were very much standalone, and the one thing Marvel has done fantastically well as actors and writers and directors is create that universe. I'm wondering, does that affect the approach to making the movie when you haven't just got one story to tell, you've got a piece to tell, you're already planning, going up against Batman in 2 years' time? Does that have to be a longer game, as it were, in the way you approach it?
It is, and it is a giant mosaic, and it's a very ambitious undertaking. It's probably as ambitious as movies have ever gotten, just in terms of the scale and the amount of films that they're making that are interconnected. But the real secret sauce to that is Kevin Feige at Marvel, who is this auteur producer. And he's quite brilliant at what he does in terms of, keeping that interconnectedness, but also focusing on the movie at hand. He's very good about not putting any constraints on the film that he's working on, because he has the belief that if you're thinking about the future, then you're not going to make the best movie that you can right now. So he really tries to make the best film that he can, and then figure out what the next movie is going to be beyond that. So a very organic process.
There's a lot of physical action going on in this film amidst all the other stuff. What was the biggest challenge for you guys? Were there any injuries?
I mean, there are always injuries, whether you end up in a cast or not. Doing stunt work, it's physical stuff, and even when you block a punch, that punch lands somewhere. So you're always going on with bumps and bruises, and we're all getting older, and so it has lasting effects. Anything in particular? Yeah, any fight with Frank Grillo.
Yeah.
He doesn't know how to pull his punches. Mackie, you must know this.
No, we were hitting each other for real.
You hit for real. If you don't block Frank Grillo's punch, you're going to get knocked
Well, that's because he's an actual boxer.
He's a
so
boxer. He doesn't know anything but 100%.
No, that's because he's a mean person.
Yeah, I saw him do the same thing to Nick Cage the other night. Yeah.
Frank Grillo beat the shit out of me. I didn't, let me see, did I? I mean, I'm forever wounded from these movies. I have old injuries from Iron Man 2 days, and I just keep re-injuring them. That's part of the joy. That's not part of the joy. It's part of the process, I guess. I mean, like Chris said, it gets, as you sustain more injuries over time, and it hurts for longer and things like that. But I don't know, it's, I guess I like to be able to do as much of the stunt work as possible. And I don't, I think you take a little bit of a risk with that. But I'd rather that than, have to hand off my scenes to the stunt team, as capable and amazing as they are all the time. I'd rather do some of it, and have some battle wounds. That way I could compare bruises.
And Sam and Sebastian, any injuries?
I mean, I feel like I got pretty familiar with Chris's kneecap like once or twice. I don't know. We were doing everything so quickly, and we'd sort of prepare for months doing those fight sequences. So I honestly wouldn't feel anything until I was in the car on the way home when I couldn't get out of the seat, like being dropped off at the hotel. But I'm sure we hurt each other.
You didn't hurt me.
You? I haven't even. This is the first time I'm seeing you.
I know, that's why I say you didn't hurt me. It's quite nice to work with you.
And
thank you.
We didn't have any scenes together.
And Sam, you weren't on the end of a Frank Grillo punch at any point, but
Me?
yeah.
No.
But did you get any injuries on this one? No.
I use my stuntman extensively. I have no issues with him being hurt. That's what he's paid to do, and he loves it. He's from a stunt family. His father was a stuntman. He and all of his brothers are stuntmen. Before they could eat breakfast in the morning, their dad kicked them down the stairs in the morning and made them jump out a window to come downstairs to get their breakfast. So I use Keontae more than, my God, he works more than I do sometimes. All depends on the film.
Why didn't I learn that from you? After so many movies, every time I'll come in limping and I'm like, oh, I hurt so bad. It's like, why don't you let other people that are better at that do that?
I mean, it's way better to, see him, you stand there, they throw a punch, you duck out of the way, they fight, and you get up and go, and run off and do the next guy. That's it. Believe
It's that
me,
simple.
It's
Amazing.
good for you.
Scarlett Johansson, Captain America has his shield and Falcon can fly. You only have 2 small guns. Have you ever asked for anything more to protect yourself as effects in the film? And the second question is, how do you identify with Black Widow?
Well, I have a bite. I have a widow's bite. And, all kinds of things that come out of I have a belt that's multi-purpose. And I have my wit, of course, my sensational wit. My kung fu, wit. I don't know. I mean, I think part of the widow's fighting style and what makes her sort of charming is that she uses her size against, her opponent, and kind of it's to her advantage that she's fighting these big dudes and she's this kind of quick thinking, quick on her feet kind of
Mouse that's hard to
mouse
catch.
that's hard to catch.
Yeah, you can't teach quick.
Love that.
Yeah, you can't teach
And
quick.
I mean, I think that I think that I don't know necessarily, how do I identify with her? Well, I mean, I think any character that you play, you have to be sympathetic towards, of course, because even if that's a villainous character, that's what makes you sort of always have to have that bit of likability to you. I think this character has a certain unexpected humility to her. That's kind of, she has that soft underbelly, and and I have that same soft underbelly.
That you do. That you do.
Question for Mr. Jackson.
Oh.
I was wondering, as a fully paid up member of the Association of Spectacles Wearers, how you cope with the wearing of the eye patch in these movies, because no matter how good one eye is, when the other eye is closed, it must affect peripheral vision. It might mean you bump into other actors, into scenery, stuff like that. Or is there an advantage? Does wearing the patch improve your putting?
I've learned to turn my head further, actually, just by, doing that. But the interesting thing about the patch is that I didn't discover until Captain America, the first one, was because I never had very many lines to say, was when I all of a sudden had dialogue, and I would learn it the night before when I got to work. I could only see half the page when I put the patch on. So I've discovered that I have to actually learn my lines now with one hand covering my eyes so that my mind will absorb what's going on in there. And that's the one thing. But I putt with both my eyes open, don't you? Well, see, there you have it. I want to work on that, though.
Scarlett, you are a musician as well as an actress. I was wondering if the rest of you have any hidden music ability, and if you'd want to do Captain America musical.
She got albums and shit.
What you play?
The harpsichord.
It's interesting.
Where should we start? Should we start with Anthony? Do you have any musical abilities? Do you play any instruments?
Can you play anything?
Oh man, nah.
Juice harp? Juice harp.
I can deal with the trumpet a little bit. Growing up in New Orleans, you have to learn an instrument, so I could deal with the trumpet.
Trumpet?
I'm nice on the spoons.
Yeah.
I could do a funky beat, Oh shit. That's it. Some turntables,
Okay. So in other words, no.
Sebastian, any musical talent in there?
Nope, no musical talent. Just good old karaoke,
Okay.
Hey now.
That's all I got. Yeah.
Which we're doing tonight at the Dorchester.
Sam, what about you?
I played instruments when I was a kid. Yeah, I played trumpet, French horn, and flute. And I've learned to play various instruments for different films like guitar, piano, cello. But I don't keep up with any of them.
And Chris?
Yeah, I played the piano and the guitar.
Not at the same time, surely.
No, at the same time. It's amazing.
It's quite a
You
talent.
should see it. It's really good.
So Anthony and Joe, I can expect Captain America 3 will be a musical then? Captain!
Yeah.
Exclamation mark.
Why not, right?
Working on
Frozen's doing so well.
it. Might as well.
I know everyone's already said this, but I think the film's fantastic. It's the best Marvel film yet.
That's what I see.
My question is actually for Sebastian. You've previously said you've got a 9-picture contract with Marvel.
Damn, kid.
That's what happened to the rest of my deals.
Exactly. You know who paying for karaoke?
Could you possibly see your character becoming Captain America in the future?
I hope so in 9 movies.
There you go. I have no idea, man. I mean, I really don't know. I'm still like trying to, realize that I'm sitting up here with these guys, So I'm wherever those two fellas want to take, the stories where I'm going. So, and also this.
Thank you. Damn, man, you just cut me out.
Well, we're going to use this press conference actually to announce that Anthony Mackie will no longer be with Marvel. Moving forward. Falcon was a one-off. Iron Fist is taking over.
Captain America 3 is going to go up against Batman and Superman. You may have heard of them.
I'm sorry.
Have you got plans to suitably up the ante, and do you think you might see another Avenger?
Celebrity boxing match. That's what, we're working on right now. No, I don't know. I think, who said this best? That, when two cars are speeding at each other, one of them has got to veer out of the way at some point. So.
Hell yeah. Put it out there, Joe. Put it out there, baby. Go ahead. Tell them, man. Tell them.
It's just a good old game of chicken.
Listen, I think, Marvel, I think, announced that date originally. It was if you go back historically and look at it, Marvel and I think Sony have been trading off on that May date for a long time. And I think when Warner Brothers decided to move that film, they moved it to the May date. So, I can see where Kevin said, well, I'm not moving off that date.
Boom.
So,
yup,
right.
Deal with that.
So I don't think there'll be anything to up the ante other than that, hopefully we make a great movie and everybody's very excited to see it on, was it May 5th or May 6th? And
I mean, that's the truth. Is anybody up here is just all we can do is make focus on making the best movie we can make, and when and how it gets released is, there's other forces involved in that.
In other words, punks step up to get beat down. Know about that.
And Marvel, where you have heroes, and
Yeah.
there's DC, where you have interesting bad guys.
Yeah. We got Chris Evans, baby. Deal with that. Yeah.
It's all kicking off. It's all kicking off.
I've got a question from my 6-year-old son, Con. It's to everybody. Basically, the Avengers obviously are his heroes. Who is your hero? That's his question to everybody.
Aw, that's cute.
It's a good one.
Like our life hero or like a superhero hero? A life hero.
I'll say it's so generic, but I'll say my parents. I mean, they're your first. They're the ones who shape you and make you and teach you how to love and how to feel pain and happiness and cope, and it's everything from from birth until you're in your teen years. That's where you're really forming who you are, and I really got to tip my hat to my parents. They're my heroes. Good luck, everyone else. Follow me.
Everybody has to get the same answer. Thanks.
You got parents? Jesus. Oh, nice.
David Bowie. That's my hero, for obvious reasons.
Samuel L. Jackson.
Myself.
Thank you, Sam.
Now I look at the young people that, put their lives on the line for us so that we do have, the freedom to make movies like this and tell stories like this, because, we do have a volunteer army now. It's not like people have to do it. And those young men and women that go out there and put their lives on the line and go to different countries and they're there, to make sure that we can do what we do. I admire them greatly.
Absolutely. And, yep, indeed. And Sebastian?
Well, my mom, definitely, and I guess probably Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I was obsessed with Jim Carrey growing up, so it led me to acting, I guess.
And Anthony?
My two brothers.
Don't say Mr. Marcus.
No, man. My two brothers. I spent the first 12 years of my life with them beating me up, and the past 22 years of my life with them applauding me and building me up. So, my two brothers.
Fantastic. And Joe, you haven't mentioned a hero yet?
I can't decide if it's Superman or Batman, but maybe if somebody made a film where they put them both in that movie together, I don't know.